Hello. So let's discuss this diamond shape pattern, and we are given 7 number of rows for this particular pattern, and we need to write code for that. Okay, let's discuss this. So as we did earlier also, let's analyze this pattern row by row and see what kind of different values we need to print in a row. Okay, so in one row we can see that first we need to print few spaces, then few star, and then few spaces, right? And this is same for each row, and we know that we don't need to deal these ending spaces at the end of my each row. These can be dealt automatically as we will move forward to our next row, right? So for us it should be first spaces and then stars in each row, right? So for better generalization, let's write the count for each row. That means for row 1 we need to print 3 spaces first and then 1 star. For row 2 we should print 2 spaces and then 3 stars. Row 3 count should be 1 and 5. Row 4 it should be 0 and 7, I guess. For row 5 it should be 1 and 5. Row 6 it should be 2 and 3, and for row 7 it should be 3 and 1, right? So these are the counts for spaces and stars in each row. Okay, let's analyze them. Okay, so we can observe that from row number 1 to 4, number of spaces, count for number of spaces is actually decreasing, and for count for number of stars is actually increasing. So and for row 5 to 7, this pattern, this count is increasing and this count is decreasing. So I guess we can break our pattern in two parts, where we will deal row 1 to 4 in first half and row 5 to 7 in another half. So our code structure should look something like this. First it should be first half, and then it should be second half. We'll see further that what all values and what all rows we need to print in first half and second half, right? Okay, so this should be the distribution, and we know for this particular value of n, which is 7, first half should deal from row number 1 to 4 and second half should deal from row number 5 to 7, or I can say that first half should deal 4 rows and second half should deal 3 rows. We can obviously renumber them, that it can be 1, 2 and 3. Right, and we'll see what better suits us, right? Okay, so but this 4 and 3 is actually specific to this 7, and we should come up with a general number that fits well for any given value of n. Like for example, n can be given to us as 9, n can be 11, n can be 21, n can be something, any odd value. So let's find out. So if my n is 7, let's name that this is n1 and this is n2. Our n1 should be 4 and our n2 should be 3, right? If my n is 9, I guess our n1 should be 5 and n2 should be 4. This way we should deal our pattern. If my n is 11, then my n1 should be, I guess, 6 and n2 should be 5, right? I guess you can see the pattern here. So this n1 can be generalized at something like this, n plus 1 by 2, and this n2 can be simply n by 2 or n1 minus 1. So this is general expression for figuring out the value for n1 and n2. So n1 represents number of rows in my first half and n2 represents number of rows in my second half. So n1 should be n plus 1 by 2 and n2 should be either n by 2 or n1 minus 1. Right? So this part is done. Now we know that how many rows we need to deal in first and second half. Let me clear this first now. Okay, so the value of n1 is n plus 1 by 2, which is 4 in our case, and n2 is equal to n by 2 or n1 minus 1, which is 3 in our case for n equal to 7. Okay, now let's focus on first half of our pattern, and we know in each row we need to first print spaces and then stars. So one row should have first few spaces and then few stars, right? Okay, now we need to come up with a general expression so that we know for ith row how many spaces I should print and how many stars I should print. Let's try. So if I say that my row number is I, how many spaces we should print? n1 is 4. I guess it should be n1 minus I. Let's figure out. So n1 is 4, 4 minus 1 is 3, 4 minus 2 is 2, 4 minus 3 is 1, 4 minus 4 is 0. That means this is perfectly fine. So for ith row, there should be n1 minus I spaces. I guess we can do that. We have done this before also, right? Okay, same. Let's do this for stars. And for stars, we need to print 1, 3, 5, 7. Let's try to find out the general expression. I guess it should be 2i minus 1. Let's figure out. So twice of 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. 2 into 2 is 4 minus 1, 6 minus 1, 8 minus 1. It fits perfectly fine. That means for ith row, we just need to print 2i minus 1 stars, and we can do that, right? So this should be the structure of code for my one row and for my first half. After writing code for one row, we can definitely repeat this for n1 number of rows in order to get this first half pattern. After writing this part of the code, we will be able to draw this much pattern of our given example, right? And after that we are done. Now we need to think about the second half, right? Okay, now let's focus on our second half, and we can observe that the rows are following the exact same pattern. That is, first there are few spaces and then few stars. That means in our second half also, our one row is following the same pattern, first few spaces and then few stars. Next thing that we need to figure out is for ith row, how many spaces should be there and how many stars should be there, right? So if I say this is my ith row, how many spaces we should print? I guess in case of spaces, the expression is straight away. For row 1 it's 1, 2 it's 2, 3 it's 3. That means for ith row, we just need to print I number of spaces. Now let's find out for stars, and we can see that for row 1 it's 5, then it's 3, and then it's 1. I guess in the case of stars, it's hard to find. The expression is very hard to find out. Although I'm not saying that we cannot. We can obviously after a few hit and trials. But this is a generally hard to find expression. Whenever we stuck with this kind of situation, what we can do is we can renumber our rows. Renumbering might help in some cases. For example, right now I've numbered my rows this way, 1, 2 and 3. I can try it this way, 3, 2, 1. So why I did this? Because I can observe that number of stars are decreasing as we are moving in next rows. That means let's try if decreasing number of rows can help. So if my row numbers are numbered from 3 to 1, then we should see that how many spaces and how many stars we should print. So let me clear this. This I is not right now. So now for third row, I need to print 1 space. For second row, I need to print 2 spaces. And for for first row, I need to print 3 spaces. So I guess the expression can be, so N2 is here. N2 represents total number of rows in this half. N2 is 3. We can write that N2 minus I plus 1. So N2 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. Plus 1 is 2, 3 minus 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. That means this should be the expression right now. For spaces, for ith row, there should be n2 minus I plus 1 number of spaces. And for stars, let's find out. For third row, it should be 5 spaces, and for second it should be 3, for 1 it should be 1. Same expression fits well, which is 2i minus 1. Twice of 3 is 6, minus 1 5. Twice of 2 is 4 minus 1, 2 minus 1, 1. That means for ith row, we need to print 2i minus 1 spaces, and we can do that, right? So this way, we can print one row in our second half, and we can obviously repeat this pattern for n2 number of rows in order to get all these rows in the second half, right? So this should be the structure of my code. And first, we need to write code for first half and then second half, and we should be done. Okay, I hope that should do. Thank you.